So let us move to the next topic is virus. So we know that how the virus looks like, and now that after COVID, we all are aware that what are the structure of a typical virus, right? Since these are non-cellular microbes, so it is always a debate that whether we can keep it into the microorganism or not. But since it causes a lot of havoc in the form of diseases across the life forms, uh, we have to study it, right? So virus particles are called as virions, that is made up of nucleic acid surrounded by a protein capsid, right? So they have mostly a nucleic acid inside, and then there is a capsid, right? And then you have the tails and whiskers, right? In Since the viruses do not have all the genes to live on their own in their genome, they are obligate intracellular parasites. So they cannot maintain themselves without infecting the host, right? Based on the kind of the genome they have, right? Whether it's a DNA or RNA or single stranded or double stranded or sense or non-sense, positive or negative sense, right? So based on several different varieties, the viruses can be classified. And there are close to 5,000 viruses for which we have some information, right? If we look into the ocean, in the scale of the length or in the scale of the size, you have cetaceans which is close to 100 to 100 meters, and close to 10 to 15 meters, right? Whereas you have viruses which is 10 to the power minus 8 meters, right? Or 10 to the power minus 7 meters. However, even with this kind of a small size, we know that viruses are abundantly distributed across the ocean and having a capacity to manipulate the marine environment uh, heavily. We have seen some of the examples, like in the microbial loop. We have seen that this virus plays an important role by lysing the bacteria which is being involved in the or catalyzing the dissolved organic matter, right? And once the virus infects that, there is a whole lot of separate path which opens, and that is called as viral shunt in the microbial loop. The details of some. Apart from that, we have also seen that how viruses plays an important role in the DMSP synthesis, right? DMS synthesis by infecting the coccolithophores, right? Then it is also important in the horizontal gene transfer, and that helps in the niche expansion for the new metabolisms, right? And then we have the red queen effect on the photosynthesis through the prey predator mechanism. So this we are going to look into, right? So even though they are very small in size, they manipulates the marine environment heavily, and it affects almost all the life forms on the earth. Two main lifestyles of the marine phages. First is the lytic versus the lysogenic, right? So in the lytic, the phage injects its DNA into the host, right, which subsequently directs the cell to replicate fast DNA and leading to the cell lysis. Once the cell lysis is happening, then there are more and more fast progenies coming, right? In contrast, in some of the temperate phages, they lysogen their host either by integrating the bacterial chromosome, right? Or they can also maintain extra chromosomal element, where they divide as prophages with the bacterial cell until the environment, all the cellular triggers cause them to lyse or enter into the lytic cycle. Once it enters into the lytic cycle, it will again be following the same trend, right? So we have two different class or lifestyles of the viruses in the marine environment, or in general all the viruses. First is the lytic, second is the lysogenic cycle, right? Because that infect or it requires a host in order to divide or in order to survive, right? Or in order to reproduce, a number of marine hosts are infected by various different kind of viruses. A table is been given here, which is taken from a marine microbiology book by Colin Moon. you can see that starting from the crustacean, from bacteria, from mollusks, from archaea, from protists, again from the algae, all the life forms, fish, mammals, right, mammals, seabird, etc. Everything is being infected by the viruses. So again, they play a very important role in the maintenance of the what do you say, marine environment. Okay, fine. Right. So we have seen that the marine viruses are the major player in the global ecosystem. Now look into this particular line that they estimated 10 to the power 30 viruses in the ocean, and if stretched end to end, it would span further than nearest 60 galaxies. So that is the total number of viruses in the marine environment. And every second, approximately 10 to the power 23 viral infection occur in the ocean. So a question comes, since the fast replicates more rapidly than their host, and if the lytic infection result in the death of the host, why don't falls kill all the host and cause their extinction in the process, right? Since the viruses or the phages can replicate more faster, it can cause the lytic infection, which can lead to the death of the host. Then how this the overall process is surviving, why the phages are not killing all the host, and that thereby also can lead to the extinction in the process, right? So that's a very valid question to be asked. There are several hypotheses behind it. I will cover two hypotheses. First one is a co-evolution of bacteria and the phages, right? That we can also see in the form of arm race of co-evolution or red queen hypothesis, right? Like how in the Alice in Wonderland sequel it was said through the looking glass, the red queen says, it takes all the running you can do to keep in the same place, right? So it means that you have to constantly run, or what it means that you have to constantly evolve in order to sustain yourself in that particular place. If you stop evolving, then there will be an infection which can eliminate you by through, I mean, that could be virus or something. Mostly this kind of hypotheses are applicable when we talk about the prey predator mechanism, right? In the similar line, this says the red queen hypothesis for the bacteria and the phage states that competitive environmental interactions, such as those displayed by the host and the parasite, will lead to continuous variations and selection toward the adaptation of host and the counter adaptation on the other side of the parasite. Right. So it means that if there will be a virus which is infecting a bacteria, then at that particular time, bacteria also will try to evolve, right, so that it does not get infected by the virus, and this process will keep on happening. So there will be mutations in resistance to the virus, right? Right. So there will be a mutation for the resistance to the virus A, and then again virus will evolve. The similar thing will keep on happening uh, uh, in the different pathogens and the I mean different bacteria and the virus. So that is one way that that helps co-evolution to happen. And what do you say, yeah, if the co-evolution happens, then definitely the it will also lead to mutation. Sorry, it will also lead to mutation, and that mutation will be responsible also uh, for the diversity to grow. So not only that there is an arm race for co-evolution between the host and pathogen derives the mutation in the bacteria, but that will also lead to the evolution in the bacteria. It means that could be also lead to the speciation and increase in the diversity as well. Okay. Similarly, there is another hypothesis which says Game of Thrones, what determine the succession of hosts and the phages. So there is another model called as royal family model, and in this what it says is that if there is any there could be two possibilities in the host and the pathogen. So in this case, bacteria and the virus, that it could be equal opportunity model, right? So it means that if the host is gone, or if the host is infected by the virus is gone, then there could be a possibility that the virus will also go, and then in order to take the new host, there could be a new virus which will come into the royal family, right? So similar things will keep on happening, and that way, if the virus is going, then if the host is removing from the environment, virus will also remove, and the second species or the second group of bacteria will be there, which is resistant to the virus, right? So likewise it will happen, that will give you equal opportunity model. Whereas in the royal family model, what happens is that if one certain group of virus is infecting one certain group of bacteria, right? And if there is any adaptation in the bacteria, then the same set of advanced virus from the same family will come and infect, right? And thereby maintaining the commoners in the virus and also in the bacteria, right? And thereby maintaining the various different form of bacteria as well as the viruses in the environment, right? This particular hypothesis is based on idea that phages act as puppet master for their bacterial host, and once the phages are capable of once the phages are infected, it is capable of altering the metabolism of the infected bacteria through the expression of auxiliary metabolic genes and the redirection of the host gene expression pattern. And according to this particular paper by Brett Bird in 2018, he found in a limited set of experiment that the hosts that are well suited to the niche will stay in power, and any changes in the throne will favor the bacteria belonging to the royal lineages that have escaped their abundant phage attackers, right? In the line of the similar hypothesis, I will give you a question that looked at what is kill the winner hypothesis. Okay, so that is also very much linked with how the host survives the viruses in the marine environment. Okay, apart from, now that we have seen that though the viruses are there in the environment and it affects the bacteria, not all the viruses infects the same set of bacteria, and not all the bacteria will be infected uh, by by various different viruses or the phages, right? So there would be always a specialized viruses, which infects a specialized bacterial cells, thereby maintaining the both the populations in the natural environment. Apart from that, we have seen this particular DMS production, which I have explained also last week, that how this algae in the water column helps in the DMS production, because the algae produces the DMSP, and this DMSP is being produced, uh, been converted by the bacteria into the DMS, and then this viruses will lyse the coccolithophores, right? And this coccolithophores, once it lyses, DMS will come out, and this DMS will go in the atmosphere, making the cloud, right? So this is a very important aspect in the sulfur cycle, right? How that works is that there is a particular virus called as Emilia huxley and coccolithovirus, that is EHV. So when this EHV will go and bind to the coccolithophores, right, it induces a programmed cell death for the coccolithophores with the mechanism which is shown here. May not be very clearly understand mechanism, but this is what it is happening. This virus is inducing the programmed cell death, And once the virus production and releases happens, at the same time there is a DMS which will also come into the atmosphere, right? So now that we know that the viruses which I also talked about last week that are involved in the global climate change, it is this particular virus, that is Emilia huxley and coccolithophore EHV virus, right, which is involved in the DMS production in the marine environment, right? So I will just stop here with the virus today. And right. So in the Lytic cycle, what happens is that there is a phage which injects its DNA into the cell, right? And it directs the host cell to replicate the phage DNA, which leads to the cell lysis. Once the cell lysis is happening, then it releases the phage progeny, right? Whereas in the lysogenic cycle, it integrates the bacterial, I mean, phage DNA into the bacterial DNA, right? Also, there is a possibility in some cases that it is maintained separately into the bacterial DNA. Now, when the bacteria will do the replication of its DNA, at that time it will replicate it, right? And then because of the environmental trigger, right, the cell lysis will happen, or the it will enter into the lytic cycle. From there again the new phages will come out. So this is how the lytic and lysogenic cycle in the viruses